Do you have a problem picking out a great Halloween costume? I don't seem to have that problem. I got the best one ever. I know what you're thinking. I know. I make this look good. Here we go. What is going on? Cover One crew. Your boy Chris Chow's back again. Hope everybody's great. Happy Halloween to everybody. If you got little ones trick-or-treating, be safe out there. It's good fun always. But we got week number 8 fantasy football start, sit, lineup advice. All teams, all positions, all players, I got you covered. I do got the timestamps in the comment section, so definitely hit that up if you guys just want to check out your favorite teams and favorite players. The option is there for you. Smash that like button for me and jump in those comments with your start sit questions. I will definitely answer you, but what do you guys say we go through every team for week number 8 fantasy football lineup advice? So week number 8 did not start off as planned. We got some big name injuries happening with Jamar Chase gone 4 to 6 weeks, potentially for the season is what, we're hearing with that hip injury. Very scary stuff for one of the most dynamic wide receivers in the league at this point. Deebo Samuel also injured, another plethora of other talents. We'll cover it, man. Let's go bye week time. It's only the Chargers and the Chiefs on the bye week in week 8, so it's not bad. It's not as bad as it was last week, but there are, Mahomes, you got, Herbert and Eckler and company, so you're going to have to make do with some other players. Let's dive into those Arizona Cardinals. Going to Minnesota, taking their talents to Minnesota, play these Vikings. Kyler Murray, obviously the low-risk play every single week. 6 boom games out of 7. You can't hate that whatsoever. He's doing more than enough to keep you going. He's doing the job. He looked a lot better last week. Him and Cliff Kingsbury, though, I don't know, they got to kiss and make up because right now their relationship is on the rocks. You can see Kyler is just, he's cussing out Cliff on the sidelines and then doubling down in interviews. I don't like the look whatsoever, but hey, Kyler Murray is a very safe play always now. Always has been in fantasy football. Eno Benjamin gets a low-risk play now that James Conner is also ruled out for this contest once again. Eno is coming for that starting role, and he looks good doing it. They're going to continue to roll with Eno Benjamin. Potentially, we see Darrell Williams come into this backfield. If not, Keanthony Ingram is going to, again, spell an Eno Benjamin, and this isn't bad. It's a high-risk play, though. You got to have some pretty big kahunas to be playing in Ingram, but I mean, if you're really, stuck in a deeper leagues at running back, maybe Ingram is your play. I don't recommend it, but I mean, he is on the upside this week as well behind an Eno Benjamin. DeAndre Hopkins, we were waiting. This is why we drafted him late and held him on the bench for 6 weeks. I told y'all on the last show on Thursday Night Football on that show that DeAndre Hopkins was just going to be a target pig, and that's exactly what they did. Force-fed the man. It came at the expense of basically every other wide receiver and tight end on this team, but DeAndre Hopkins is back. We can trust him. He is very much a low-risk play, high volume, high target share upside for a DeAndre Hopkins. I wish I could say the same about a Rondale Moore. I will not trust it until I see it happen on the field. High-risk play. Y'all, you went to the waiver against my advice. What else can I tell y'all? But, I mean, fade Rondale until we see him do something a little bit more. Robbie Anderson does get a TD upside this week. Rank for me because they are trying to, practice the deep shots. We could see 2 to 3 deep shots go to Robbie this week just to kind of spread the defense, keep the, stacked boxes to limited, basis, and maybe he catches one, but again, I wouldn't start Robbie Anderson this week until we see proof in the pudding. Zach Ertz is a tough play because now DeAndre is back, so all those targets are going to be going to DeAndre Hopkins, where Zach Ertz was, the beneficiary of the target share early on, but I'm still playing a Zach Ertz. Just, temper your expectations. Mid-level risk for me for Zach Ertz. Hopefully he gets over that 10-point threshold. The Atlanta Falcons going on, taking on the Carolina Panthers, the new-look Panthers. Marcus Mariota, he did not look good last week. Went against my better judgment. I thought he was going to play very well, and the Falcons went to bed. But see, everything was shaping out to be exactly why I predicted it last week. The Bengals were blowing out the Falcons. You thought that Mariota was going to throw the ball like 30 times. What did they do? They threw 13 times. What are you doing, Atlanta? You killed everybody's fantasy chances. This week, I think it's a little different. I think Mariota's going to throw the ball a little bit more. Atlanta's going to look a little bit more organized on offense. They're still going to run the ball with Tyler Algier. Both him and Mariota get a mid-level risk for me. If you're streaming quarterbacks this week, I still fully support a Marcus Mariota because of the rushing upside, and I do believe they will figure out a way to pass the ball more. But who is he going to pass to? Drake London, man, we got to see you get out of the doghouse, dude. I don't know. I got him as a high risk this week. How can you trust it? You cannot play this man right now whatsoever. He's got to hit on your bench at this point. Yes, it's going to suck to see if he gets 15 to 20 points on your bench, but I mean, Carolina's defense is no joke. They're okay. They're good. They can rush the passer, and they got some good cover corners. So, I mean, Drake London to me this week, until we see it, on the field consistently, I will not do it. Zacchaeus, he gets a mid-level risk only because of PPR upside. He's got 49.7 points. He's on the heels of Drake London being the leading receiver in fantasy football on this Atlanta Falcons team. I mean, stranger things have happened, but Zacchaeus looks good enough to at least trust in your flex if you're dying for one. Kyle Pitts gets a high risk for the first time this season for me. I'm done. I can't trust it. I got to see it on the bench. On the bench before I can trust it once again. But I mean, Kyle Pitts, the talent is always there. What can you say? He's got a supreme talent. They're just not using him enough for us to warrant a start at this point. Hopefully you got better options. If Kyle Pitts hits on your bench, it is also going to suck, but at least you're not going to have the 1 to 4 points on your starting lineup from the tight end spot, which kills you every single week. Bills Mafia, Buffalo Bills, Sunday Night Football taking on those Green Bay Packers. The struggling Green Bay Packers. Josh Allen, stud start every single week. 6 games, 6 booms. He's just killing it. You know it's Josh Allen, man. He's going to bring the thunder, and you know it's going to be very much glorious. Devin Singletary gets a mid-level risk for me. I almost wanted to put him as a low-level risk, but I just think Josh Allen's going to carve up this defense through the air a lot, and they're not really going to have to utilize, Devin on the ground. Potentially, we do see some checkdowns, and maybe we see, Green Bay try to take away the wide receivers, and then Josh Allen's just going to take what the defense gives them, and that could be a lot of PPR upside to Devin Singletary. He is a start for me this week. It's a low-level, RB2 type of start for me for a Devin Singletary, but I don't hate the start. I think he's going to have a decent game. James Cook, high-level risk until we see more. You can't say anything more about it. Stephon Diggs and Gabe Davis. Diggs gets a stud start of the week for these Bills, along with Gabe Davis, low-level risk. I think the Bills are just going to carve up this Green Bay Packers defense. There's going to be nothing that they're going to be able to do. They have not seen a team like this Buffalo Bills all season long, and the teams they have been losing to are not even in our wheelhouse, in our ballpark. So I'm going both Davis and Diggs must plays. They're going to have a big day. Isaiah McKenzie, I'm a little bit, fading him just a little bit this week. I want to see him kind of clean up, the failure before the bye week. He was dropping passes, did not look good against those Kansas City Chiefs. It just, something about tripping over his own feet. I mean, mid-level risk, okay? You can trust it if you need a flex play, but I would caution the start. I don't know if I would want to start him. I would look in other directions before I start an Isaiah McKenzie this week. They need a lot more, efficiency from the slot position on this Bills team. Maybe that comes in the form of a Dawson Knox. I'm giving him TD upside this week. I think he finds the end zone once again. They've got to get back to utilizing Dawson Knox a little bit more as well, especially if the slot isn't working and the run game isn't necessarily efficient. Go to Dawson Knox. He is Mr. Reliable. I do believe he finds his way into the end zone this week. So if you're in a pinch for the tight end spot, Dawson Knox is a good filler, no question, man. Those Carolina Panthers, like I mentioned, going to Atlanta, face those Falcons. P.J. Walker, man. I mean, it sounds like a television show when you talk about it, but P.J. Walker, he looked good. 19 points. You can't hate it. That's a boom game for Mr. P.J. What did I say last week? I said he's got an arm and he's got rushing upside, and he was showcasing that arm. What else did I say? He was going to force feed DJ Moore. Look, that came to fruition as well. I got my magic ball. I'm just, seeing the future in my magic ball. And I mean, again, this week versus the Falcons, it's a lighter matchup for them. The defense in Atlanta is, they're playing good, but they're not playing great. Against, similar competition levels, they tend to step up. But I think, with the injuries they do have, I believe Terrell is out in this game as well. I like the Carolina Panthers and P.J. Walker to, again, try to go deep, force feed DJ Moore a lot, and they're going to run the ball a lot with a Deontay Foreman, who is a low-risk play. P.J. Walker gets a mid-level risk play for me. If you're streaming quarterbacks this week, again, you can do a lot worse than P.J. Walker. Foreman, low-level risk. He's got volume upside up the wazoo because Chuba Hubbard is not going to play in this game. DJ Moore, mid-level risk because, again, he's going to get peppered with targets. Laviska, Terrace Marshall, Ian Thomas, all high-risk level plays. Do not trust them. Move on from those Carolina Panthers outside of QB, running back, and DJ Moore. The Chicago Bears at the Dallas Cowboys. Justin Fields is starting to turn my head a little bit. He's starting to make a lot of better plays, but I mean, they got to simplify this offense just a little bit. You know, he's taking off and he's running with the ball, which is very good. That's a big strength of his. However, the only way that he's feeling comfortable, it looks like, when he's throwing the ball is when he's rolling outside the pocket. So you can tell his progression isn't necessarily there right from the pocket. That's fine. He's still young. He's still learning. And you just want to see the progression being had. He looked very good last week. There were some big throws that he did make that made you say, whoa, what did you just do, sir? He's turning a little bit of a corner. It's not a big corner turn, but he's turning a little bit. Mid-level risk for me right now because of the rushing upside. I think Justin Fields, we can start to look in his direction. Not full trust, but we're starting to get lukewarm on that trust level. David Montgomery and Khalil Herbert, this running back room has become a mess to dissect. Both of them get mid-level plays only because we don't know how they will disperse attempts and touches in this backfield. Khalil Herbert, obviously the more explosive back at this point. He looks absolutely phenomenal. I think he should be getting the bulk load of the touches at this point, sprinkled in with David Montgomery as his spell back, as weird as that is to say. But, I mean, they both hold some decent value this week against Dallas because Chicago's going to have to try to control the clock and run the ball. But, I mean, against that Dallas front seven that has been playing lights out, it's going to be pretty hard to run the ball, I want to think. They're going to have to get lucky with some passes, and potentially whoever gets the goal line rushing upside, you got to think it's got to be David Montgomery, hence mid-level risk. Maybe Khalil Herbert gets sprinkled in the mix, but they both got mid-levels on this week's game. Darnell Mooney gets a mid-level risk for me as well. I wouldn't recommend playing him against the Cowboys either because, I mean, it is a pretty difficult matchup versus the secondary that is playing pretty good, and the front seven's going to pressure Fields all day long. So, I mean, I'm still looking in other directions from Darnell Mooney. Same goes for Pettis, St. Brown, and Cole Kmet. High-level risk plays this week. I don't like it versus the Cowboys, but, I mean, outside of Fields, Monty, and Herbert, those are the only ones I would definitely think about playing this week if you had to. Cincinnati going to Cleveland, face the Browns on Monday Night Football. Joe Burrow, Joey B, what I say, 2 weeks in a row. I said he's going to be a fabulous, point getter. I said he's going to lead and be the #1 quarterback last week. What did he do? He repaid all of us that own the shares of Joey B. And this week, okay, without Jamar Chase, we got to see how it's going to morph. It's going to be interesting because now you don't have your killer threat like in the Jamar Chase, but you still got T. Higgins. You still got Tyler Boyd. Those are nice consolation prizes for this offense. Maybe we see Joe Mixon run a little bit more. They've kind of gotten away from the ground game. They've kind of, moved away from even passing the ball to Joe Mixon again. He's only got, 90.2 points and going on 7 weeks? You don't like that for Joey. But, I mean, you know what? Joe Burrow, he's a stud start once again for me against these Cleveland Browns who, they're looking a little uneven. They look beatable on this defense. I would have figured already by now they would have figured it out more than they have. They just have not those Browns. So Joey B, stud start of the week. Joe Mixon gets a low-risk level play. I think we're going to see a lot more volume now that Chase is out. They're going to try to run the ball, establish the run, set up the play-action pass, get it to Higgins and Boyd on the regular. Both Higgins and Boyd do get low-level risk plays for me this week. Tyler Boyd has just been killing it, man. He's got more points than T. Higgins right now, and I mean, he's just open all day long. He's been also the beneficiary of seeing, stronger coverage going to Chase, going to T. Higgins. So now he's going to see a little bit more coverage come his way. It's going to be a little tougher, but Tyler Boyd has proven over and over again that he is a very good wide receiver in this league. T. Higgins, again, he is a likely wide receiver 1 on anybody else's roster that doesn't have a Jamar Chase. Fire up both these men as well, man. Mike Thomas is the third wide receiver. Right now, high-level risk because you don't know if they're going to use him at all, but I mean, they're going to utilize a third weapon on this pass game, and I think it's going to be Hayden Hurst. He's got TD upside this week once again. Maybe he sees a little bit more target share. I want to say 5 to 6 targets. Hopefully he comes down with 5 out of 6 of those and maybe finds his way into the end zone. But Hayden Hurst, out of all these wide receivers, does get a massive uptick because of the Jamar Chase injury. They're going to have to find ways to spread the ball around. I like the Cincinnati Bengals against the Browns this week. Talking about those Cleveland Browns versus Cincinnati, Jacoby Brissett, they're just finding new ways to lose games this year, and you got to feel bad for Cleveland. I mean, do we really? But, I mean, Cleveland Brown fans, I'm sorry. I'm not trying to, dig when the wounds are open. I'm pouring some salt in the wounds. I apologize, but, I mean, Jacoby Brissett, I mean, he's been doing okay. 4 boom games out of 7. You can't hate it. He's trying his best. He's been serviceable. But what is his MO, man? He turns the ball over in the worst possible times. I mean, and they're losing close games. They're still establishing the run. Nick Chubb is a stud start once again this week. 133 points for him. 6 boom games for Nicholas Chubb. Gets everybody's chub rising when he's running. No kidding, man. Jacoby Brissett, mid-level risk this week again. He's a decent streaming quarterback. Gives you a relatively safe floor. 15 points likely is the floor for a Jacoby Brissett. Kareem Hunt, I will not trust this week. He is a high-level risk, in my opinion, because I do believe they are shopping his services. They're going to limit the work. We're going to limit the touches, because if he gets hurt on this field, they lose out. They get nothing for this man. NFL trade deadline is 1 week away, or on Tuesday, if I'm not mistaken. So, I mean, you got to keep Kareem Hunt healthy, and I don't think they're going to utilize him this week at all. It's going to be Nick Chubb a lot, maybe a little sprinkles of Kareem Hunt. I just don't see a lot of usage from him once again. High-level risk for me. Amari Cooper, he continues down the low-level risk start for me because he is the only real producing wide receiver on this offense. And, I mean, yes, okay, we're seeing potential 100-plus yard games, and then you're seeing, consistent 65 to 85 yards. That's what Amari's been doing. If he finds his way in the end zone, it's a great day. If he doesn't, you're kind of hoping that he gets over 10 points with PPR upside and yards receiving. So he's always going to be a player you can do. Wide receiver 2, no problem for an Amari Cooper. Donovan Peoples-Jones, mid-level risk. Not near enough to trust, but I mean, again, if you're in a pinch because of injuries and bye-week trouble, okay, I understand why you would do it. I would look in other directions. Harrison Bryant is taking over for an injured David Njoku. I don't like it. Maybe he finds his way in the end zone, but you can find better tight end options at this point for the Cleveland Brownies, man. The Dallas Cowboys taking on the Chicago Bears. Like I mentioned, Dak Prescott, we wanted to see how he would look coming out of that game with his thumb injury. Looked fine, no worse for wear, no setback. He's a low-risk play for me against this Bears defense that isn't as bad as we think they are. Yes, they traded away a Robert Quinn. Now you got to feel bad for Raekwon Smith. He's crying in interviews because he lost his best bud. And I mean, it's tough, man. What do you feel for a Raekwon? He feels like everybody's been, traded away and he's abandoned. He's the last guy there. So how much mojo does this guy got left, to fight for a Chicago Bears defense? Okay, Brisker looks good. But I think Dak Prescott's going to do a little bit more. They're going to try to unleash Dak a little bit more this week. He's got 17 points on the season. He just missed that threshold of the boom games. Zeke Elliott is a doubtful. He likely will not suit up because of that knee. He got it hyperextended when he was running, got hit in the knee. His leg kind of bent back the wrong way. So who gets the stud start in the running back room? Tony Pollard, baby. You got to fire up. Tony Pollard, absolutely stud start this week. This is what everybody's been waiting for. This is the audition for a Tony Pollard if he can, be capable of being the number one back for this offense in Dallas. This is definitely the audition. Fire up Tony Pollard everywhere you got him. CeeDee Lamb, likewise, fire him up. Low-risk play for me against the Bears. I think Lamb actually has a very good day. I think that, we got to see Dak Prescott finally, bring back the chemistry with CeeDee Lamb so that they can be on the same page a lot, and I think it's going to happen in this contest. Noah Brown, high-level risk because he is dealing with a foot injury, likely going to play, but I mean, I would look in other directions as well. Michael Gallup is one that I might trust this week because the coaching staff is saying they got to get this man more involved. Is it just coach speak? Perhaps, but I think they're, true to their word here. It's been a few weeks already. We haven't seen near enough out of Michael Gallup. He's got some target upside for me because it's going to be force-fed from the coaching staff to try to get him the ball. He could be a safe level play this week if you have to. Dalton Schultz gets a back up the ranks for me, mid-level risk. He at least got targets. I mean, he didn't put up a goose egg, so his knee looks good. He looked like he was healthy, finished that game off in the right way. So for me, Dalton Schultz, easy fire up, mid-level risk for me. Denver Broncos going to London to face the Jacksonville Jaguars. It is a home game for the Jags. Russell Wilson, apparently the Wolverine blood has healed his hamstring. He is ready to go. I mean, let's ride like those Subway commercials. I don't like it. Mid-level risk for a Russell Wilson. This offense under Wilson has been absolutely dreadful and horrific, and I will not trust any part of it at this point. Even going up against the Jaguars in London, neutral site, even though it likely is a home game feel for the Jags. I'm not doing it, man. Russ has got to show us a lot more before we can trust it. Melvin Gordon, I would put a mid-level risk, but I do like the ability here because he does have the, appeal of volume, and I think he's still going to get it. Same with Latavius Murray. This is his second trip to London. The poor guy, man, he just finished off with the Saints and then gets traded to the Broncos and goes back to London. Maybe he's got goal line upside again. He's going to score another touchdown like he did with the Saints. So, I mean, for me, it's goal line upside for a Latavius Murray. Cortland Sutton, mid-level risk. Jerry Jeudy, mid-level risk. It's tough to trust. I mean, they're great wide receivers. It's tough to trust. This offense did look a little bit better with a Rippon behind center, so maybe they employ a little bit more of that with Russell Wilson. We'll see. I got to see it to believe it because right now I got to go with what I know, and I don't like what the Broncos are doing. KJ Hamler, Greg Dulcich, high-level risk plays for me. I want to see a little bit more consistency from Dulcich, even though he's starting to look good. He's getting a few targets here and there, and he's capitalizing, but I got to see a lot more before I can trust that. The Detroit Lions taking their talents, or staying at home, I guess, against the Miami Dolphins. Jared Goff, low-level risk because they got some help this week coming back, and that is DeAndre Swift, low-level risk play for me as well. DeAndre is back. You're firing him up, and you're not looking back, man. Hopefully he puts a brace on that injured shoulder, and, it won't happen again. But when DeAndre Swift is in this offense, absolutely changes the entire dynamic of this pass game, hence why I'm saying low-level risk for a Jared Goff this week. I think they get back to the good graces of how they were moving the ball early on this season, man. Jamal Williams, still mid-level risk. He's going to get his touches. He's going to get volume. He's going to get goal line, so you can, I want to say, not trust, but you can plug him in this week. I do want to say you could do that on a goal line appeal. Miami does have some injuries to their defensive secondary. The defensive line, has been beat up a little bit, so you can trust both these running backs if you have to. Amon-Ra St. Brown, low-level risk play, high PPR upside every single week. We all got shafted last week, y'all. I mean, they took him out on a concussion protocol when he didn't even have a concussion. Come on, NFL. If you're going to do concussion protocol, do it right. Don't just be pulling players because you suspect him to have a concussion. Just frustrating. I'm angry right now. What else can I say? Josh Reynolds, he's been enough this year to warrant the mid-level risk, and now that he is the wide receiver 2 in this offense, again, he's got good level chemistry with a Jared Goff. We can trust it enough to put it in the flex if you have to. If you don't have better options, obviously Josh Reynolds is definitely one you can look in that direction. TJ Hawkinson, mid-level risk, again, against these Dolphins. No safety. That Jones, he got injured. He is on the IR, so potentially more open field for TJ Hawkinson to run. I do like DeAndre Swift a lot this week. I do believe he comes back in the good way and finds his way into the end zone. The Green Bay Packers, like I said, going to Buffalo, Bills Mafia, and this is going to be a tough one for Green Bay. Y'all be slumping 3-4, not looking good. Aaron Rodgers, you know what the thing is about this team right now? Aaron Rodgers is doing a lot, okay? He's forcing the ball. That pass to Aaron Jones last week, that was vintage Aaron Rodgers for that touchdown. He's doing a lot, but mid-level risk only because a lot of his wide receivers are not getting open, they're not separating, and they're dropping passes. So you got to feel the frustration. I get it. I don't like the fact that he calls out his players, but I understand why he's frustrated. He's putting the ball in situations where they need to be, and they're just being dropped. Okay, I get the ones that are thrown behind his players and, off target, fine, that's on AR. But, I mean, if they're in the breadbasket and you're dropping them, if it's a little bit of a contested catch and you're dropping them, what else do you expect Aaron Rodgers to do? So it's a mid-level risk play for me because we just can't trust a wide receiver core right now. Aaron Jones, low-level risk once again. I think this offense and LaFleur, they have to understand, run the ball more with Aaron Jones. Utilize him in the pass game that much more. Start at least moving the ball down the field. It's going to be a tough test versus the Buffalo Bills defense, who is going to come with the bum rush, with the front four, with Von Miller. It's going to be a very tough day for Aaron Rodgers. No kidding about that. Romeo Doubs, Sammy Watkins, Christian Watson. Watson is a questionable with a hamstring. Allen Lazard is out of this contest. So for Doubs, high-level risk. Sammy Watkins, mid-level risk only because it's a homecoming of sorts. He gets a little revenge game versus the Buffalo Bills. Christian Watson does get the injury risk tag. I would not even look in his direction. So out of these wide receivers, you got to go revenge game, right? You got to go Sammy Watkins. You never discount a revenge game for a player that wants to showcase his talents on a team that he formerly used to play for. So Sammy Watkins is, don't expect a world. I'm not saying go and start him and get him off the wire. But, I mean, if anybody's going to pop out of this offense this week for the wide receivers, you got to think Sammy Watkins got a chip on his shoulder. Robert Tonyan, mid-level risk this week as well. I think that they got to utilize the tight end position where the Bills could be somewhat exposed a little bit, maybe in the linebackers. But, I mean, even again, the Bills have just been playing so good defensively. It's going to be very tough for Aaron Rodgers to find any open wide receivers. This game could legit be Bills 40-10. Not even kidding. It's going to be ugly for Green Bay. Houston Texans taking on the Tennessee Titans. Davis Mills, he looked okay last week. He gets a mid-level risk play this week for me. If you're streaming quarterbacks, not heavily trustworthy. I would rather go for Marcus Mariota over a Davis Mills at this point. But, I mean, if you're stuck deeper leagues, Davis Mills has done enough to warrant the start this week. Dameon Pierce continues. He's rising up my board. He's got a low-level risk once again. 4 boom games in 7. You cannot dislike that whatsoever. He's doing very well. He is a battering ram. I just wonder how long his body can hold up with this type of punishment, man, because he is going like a bull coming out the gates. He looks good. You're firing up Pierce again this week. A mid-level risk for Brandon Cooks. Normally I got him low level, but this week I can't really trust it. He hasn't, he hasn't popped this year, and I don't know what it is. The Lovie Smith offense, the Lovie Smith, forced offense. I don't like it. I don't like what's going on here. They got to change it up. They got to start feeding Brandon Cooks. We also heard that he is on the trade block as well, so maybe they showcase him. Maybe they, taper off some targets, but without an Nico Collins potentially with a groin, you got to think they're going to feed Brandon Cooks a little bit. If Nico does sit, it's going to be Phillip Dorsett and Chris Moore, likely to see some more target share. But again, injury risk for Nico Collins, mid-level risk for a Brandon Cooks. Chris Moore and Jordan Akins, the tight ends, both get high-level risk plays. You're not looking at this team for high offensive productivity, so let's move on right away to these Indianapolis Colts that made waves in the news. They are benching themselves Matty Ice. If you can believe it, Matt Ryan has found the bench from the coach's decision for the first time in his NFL career, if you can believe that. I am in shock. I mean, am I really? I'm not really. He hasn't played well. I mean, poor Matt Ryan. He's tried his hardest. It's just done. It's over, man. The arm talent just isn't there anymore. He's forcing it down the field. It's just not there. Why not give the young buck, Sam Ehlinger, the chance? I'm a big fan. Always have been from the, Texas Longhorn days. Yes, he's not overly consistent. I get that. He does possess good rushing upside, but when he is on point and he finds his wide receivers, Sam Ehlinger can play. So we'll see. We'll see. I'm not saying he's a start. It's low upside in his very first NFL start, but in the preseason, we saw some flash. I like Sam Ehlinger, and he could be one of these guys that could definitely support this offense, but they will go run heavy this week to help support his services. Jonathan Taylor gets on the low-level risk. I fully expect 20 touches for this man from the backfield, and Jonathan Taylor's got to repay us with a lot of yardage. I'm hoping to see it. Nyheim Hines, again, high risk. You're not looking at his level. Michael Pittman, low-level risk. You got to see Ehlinger find Pittman and find him often. I think that's going to be the MO this week, especially against Washington's defense that, struggles at times to cover the wide receivers. Alec Pierce, he falls back down to earth just a little bit. Mid-level risk play. I mean, he's got TD upside, but again, it's very hard to understand how this offense is going to work with a Sam Ehlinger than it has. It can't be any worse than Matt Ryan, can it? I mean, really? We shall see. We shall see. But Alec Pierce, I might put him on the bench this week and hope for a better day where Paris Campbell also draws a mid-level risk play for me. Again, I give Paris a little bit because he could be that little outlet for a Ehlinger, but it's a tough play either way. I'm only going to trust Pittman and Taylor for the most part. Mo Cox, problems. His problems continue because he's not scoring any points. You're not looking in his direction whatsoever. Jacksonville Jaguars taking on those Denver Broncos in London, like I said, and Trevor Lawrence gets a mid-level risk. He looked good. He looked better last week. There were some mistakes, but they're trying to figure it out. 2-5 is their record. They're trying really hard to figure it out. You know what I love, though? I love that Travis Etienne, man, he has got the backfield to himself. I love, man, all these Twitter folk that are like, Travis Etienne's season now, fully entrenched RB1. He already took over this backfield 2 weeks ago from James Robinson. So pump your brakes on your Twitter, I don't know. I don't want to, cuss people down, but pump the brakes just a little bit. Travis Etienne, low-level risk. He's going to be continuing to be utilized. The speed is gone, though. I don't know if you guys have noticed this. If you go watch Clemson film, you'll see the top-end speed. He was the only back that could take an 80-yard run, gallop all the way to the house. I don't think he's got it anymore. I think that Liz Frank really, took him back just a little bit on the top-end wheels. Still can trust him every single week. I love Travis Etienne. I love the skill set in both the run and the pass. He's definitely an RB1. JaMychal Hasty is likely, I want to say, the running back behind him, mid-level risk. Somebody's got to spell a Travis Etienne from time to time, and Hasty could be that guy. He's shown decent reliability. We got to see it, though. No starting him this week at all. We got to see it before we actually trust it. Christian Kirk, mid-level risk versus the Denver Broncos secondary. That is extremely good. We will see if he is, covered by Patrick Surtain or not, but I mean mid-level risk. I think he's going to have at least a decent day. Marvin Jones, Zay still stays on the PPR upside game where I'm giving Marvin Jones a high-risk level play because he does play a little bit more outside, so maybe we'll see Surtain on him a little bit more. It's a tough matchup for me to dissect, but I still like Christian Kirk at mid-level risk. Evan Ingram does also pull a mid-level risk this week. He's been doing decently enough for you to get that 6 to 8 point threshold from your tight end. So again, in London, I like like Evan Ingram a lot this week. The Los Angeles Rams going to San Francisco, or facing San Francisco, excuse me, off the bye week. Matthew Stafford, you know, when I was crunching these numbers, he only has one boom game this year. One, man. 73 points? That's worse than Mariota. What are you doing, Stafford? Maybe that elbow is, you know, more hurt than we had anticipated and more than they were letting on. They were saying they were going to manage his reps all season long. It just does not look good in LA right now, but they do get a player back named Van Jefferson. Stand up, Van. Van is my guy. I love this guy. I think his talent is very good, and it's going to be an absolute need for this offense. He will play as per head coach Sean McVay, so he gets a boomer bust potential this week. We'll see. It's going to be tough. He hasn't played football in a while, so he's going to have to get his conditioning and his legs back under him. So that's why I don't trust it to start this week, but I think it is a big boomer bust. He could see some target share. Darrell Henderson is the running back in this backfield, mid-level risk. Even though San Fran's getting healthier on the defensive side, it's going to be a little tougher for them to run, but Henderson is a very reliable back, and if they do get in goal line upside, he definitely will be, you know, plowing his way into that end zone. Cooper Kupp, no question, stud start. We don't even have to think about that. Allen Robinson, I'll give him a mid-level risk this week because I want to see how the Rams do after the bye. So this is kind of my tell. This is it for me. If after this they can't do it, I'm out on the Rams on basically every single week outside of, you know, really great matchups. This is not a great matchup, but mid-level risk. Let's go Allen Robinson. Show me something. I would not start him if I were you, but I mean, I'll still put the mid-level just as a gamble to say what I think he could potentially do. Tyler Higbee, he is a mid-level risk again. He took a backseat before they went off on the bye. Did not like his game, so maybe you play him. I don't like it. I would, if I had to, I'd probably sit Higbee this week and look for another option. Las Vegas Raiders taking on the New Orleans Saints in the Bayou. And we got Derek Carr, low-level risk. They looked better last week as an offense. You know, Derek Carr didn't really have to do a whole heck of a lot because Josh Jacobs was running all over the Houston Texans, and I think it might continue again. We do got Lattimore is out this week, so that is high, big ups for a Devontae Adams, stud start for Devontae, stud start for a Josh Jacobs, low-level risk start for a Derek Carr. I like all three of them, no kidding. Boomer bust potential again for a Mac Hollins. I mean, it's just 2 hit and miss, 2 boom games out of 7 or out of 6. I mean, it's very, very difficult to trust him. But, I mean, again, deep leagues, you're stuck. You got to play somebody. I don't hate it. Hunter Renfro's regrettable season continues. Injuries, everything is just not going in his direction at this point. 22.5 points for a Hunter Renfro. No boom games. Everyone's at the end of the season is going to say, see, we predicted this. Hunter Renfro was going to have a down year because of Devontae Adams. It's not even the case. This offense is just different this year because they're running the ball a lot more, and they're being very successful in doing that, man. Josh Jacobs, 123 points, man. He's killing it. RB4 so far in fantasy football. If you got him late, man, you're smiling. It's a great one. Darren Waller, mid-level risk. He is likely suiting up. He's got that hamstring. I'm cautiously starting him, okay? And I mean, I mean that with the biggest caution. I don't trust him right now at all. And if you're benching Darren Waller, I can almost agree with you. It's okay because you just got to see it. I don't think he's healthy. I think that hamstring it could be like a Mark Andrews from Thursday Night Football. You're going to play him, he pulls a hammy again, he's out and gets you like 3 points. So for me, I kind of want to see one game in action, him be healthy, come unscathed out of this contest before I trust him. But outside of that, I don't like Darren Waller this week personally, but if you guys want to start him, I'll leave that one up to you. The Miami Dolphins going to Motown, going to Detroit to a Tagovailoa. Low-risk play this week. I think he's going to, carve up a little bit. This defense, they need a get-right game. Tua needs a get-right game. He is so lucky. He had like 1,000 interceptions dropped by those Pittsburgh Steelers defense last week. He needs a big-time get-right game, and I think he gets it here versus Detroit. Detroit, they were more competitive at the beginning of the year. Now they're kind of falling off. The coaching from Campbell is just dreadful. He's making mistakes all over the place. So I do believe Miami wins this game rather convincingly, even though they do got some injuries of their own. I think Tua does very well. Low-risk level play. Mid-level risks for both these running backs because Raheem Mostert is dealing with a knee injury again. He was dealing with it last week, looked decent, but how they split up the touches in this backfield right now is very concerning because you just can't really trust it. Raheem likely still, again, has more upside than a Chase Edmonds right now, so I would go, if I'm picking out of the two, I'm going Raheem. I'm over Chase right now. Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, both of them, I'm giving them stud starts this week. They should carve up this Detroit Lion defense, and I love it. I think both of them find the end zone this week. I think both of them have a very, very big day, and it's going to come at the expense of Mike Gesicki. Keep Mike Gesicki on your bench, high-level risk play. What'd I say? When Tua came back, Teddy loves tight ends. Teddy can feed tight ends. He can't necessarily feed all his wide receivers. Tua's not afraid. He's going to throw to his wide receivers, even if it's in a pick zone. He's going to still, try to force it in there. So Mike Gesicki gets the high-risk play. Do not start that man. Fire up Tyreek and Jalen Waddle without even looking back. The Minnesota Vikings coming off the bye, 5-1, taking on those Arizona Cardinals that have seen better days, even though they looked better last week, like I did mention. Kirk Cousins, I'll give him a low-risk play off the bye. He does very well off the bye usually, so I'm going to trust it this week. 4 boom games for Kirk Cousins is not horrible. We got to see the more efficiency, though, and I think, growing pains from the new offensive system, we had to expect it. Now off the bye, they got a little bit more time to, practice it up chemistry-wise. I think Kirk Cousins has a very good day. Dalvin Cook, similarly, low-risk level play. I want to put the stud start because I do think he's going to run wild on these Arizona Cardinals, but I'll just say, J.J. Watt and company, they're doing very well. JJ just had a baby, if I'm not mistaken, so he's going to be fired up to play. Guys that have kids, man, they just, they're on another level that next game they play. No kidding. But Dalvin Cook, low-level risk play for me. Justin Jefferson, JJ, stud start once again. I mean, it's like Jamar Chase. He's a stud every single week. I'm giving low risk again for Adam Thielen. I think, they found a little chemistry before they went into the bye. Start feeding, force feeding JJ and then give the scraps to an Adam Thielen. He can find his way into the end zone. Adam Thielen is still very much trustworthy, almost 60 fantasy points. It's not ideal and it's not great top-end numbers like it used to be, but it's definitely flex-worthy. No kidding about that. KJ Osborne, high-level risk. Don't even look in his direction. And I'm going to give boomer bust, upside for a Irv Smith this week. I think maybe they want to get him more involved. I just haven't seen near enough to trust it. So if you're playing him this week, you do got some balls to play him, but it is boomer bust upside for an Irv Smith this week. The New England Patriots and their nightmare of what they're doing at the quarterback position. They did name Mac Money Jones, the starting quarterback this week against these New York Jets, taking travel to New York. What a mess. What a mess these New England Patriots have found themselves in. I mean, Bill Belichick, I don't know what it is you're thinking, doing the rotational quarterbacks in game. Pick one, man. Just pick one and let them go at it. Okay, Billy Zappi, he did look good at some times, and then the game wore on, he looked horrific. So that's why you're going back to Mac Jones. Still high level risk play, I should say. And I still think that ankle's not 100%, but he was scared, Mac Jones was, of losing his job to Zappi, so he's back. Ramondre Stevenson gets a low-risk level play. He's almost got 100 points, y'all, and this is everything I was preaching in the offseason. Go and draft Ramondre, because eventually he's going to take over touches because Damian Harris got injured, so it's by default. But I do see a little bit more even split in this contest. I think New England's going to try to control the clock just a little bit more. Damian Harris is not falling out of favor with Bill Belichick. It was just first game back from his injury, so why not lean on Ramondre, get some touches for Harris to get that game action back. I think they both have a very good day. Mid-level risk for a Damian Harris. Jacoby Myers, I mean, who is Sauce covering in this contest? I think that's the question. If it's Jacoby, it's game over. Do not start him, but I mean, we'll see who Sauce does lock up this week. He's been unbelievable. Sauce Gardner, just great. If you guys don't know, the defensive back for the New York Jets, he's just been lights out, the rookie. He's been fabulous. Mid-level risk for Jacoby Myers. Nevertheless, I think he still finds ways with Mac Jones. They got good chemistry. He's going to find that PPR upside. Tyquan Thornton, he laid an absolute egg last week after I supported him, so he gets a low-floor rank for me this week. I will not trust you until you do it once again with more levels of consistency. Same goes for Devontae Parker and Hunter Henry. High-level risk plays, Mr. Bigfoot, we used to coin Devontae Parker. I mean, you just can't do it. I don't like it whatsoever. Look in other directions for other options instead of New England at this point. The New Orleans Saints taking on those Las Vegas Raiders, and I mean, the Saints are injured again. Michael Thomas, I mean, the toe, okay, you can't play ball, I get it, then retire. I don't know what else to tell y'all, man. Jarvis Landry, he's abandoned now. He's seen better days. He is also out of this contest. This is great news for us Chris Olave CO2 fans, because I love me some Chris Olave. I'm going to continuously preach up Chris Olave. Chris Olave gets a stud start for me this week. The guy's just unbelievable, man. And once he puts the entire fabric of his game on the field week to week, if he gets a quarterback that can feed him the ball on the regular with elite level talents, Chris Olave is going to be an all-star in this league. I'm telling y'all. Stud start for Chris Olave, low-level risk for an Andy Dalton because this, Raiders defense is susceptible to giving up some big plays. I mean, if Davis Mills can do it, anybody can do it. And, I mean, same goes for Alvin Kamara, low-level risk play for me. TD upside to this Shaheed kid. I mean, they're going to try it. It looks like he's got the wheels, the jets to do it. No Thomas, no Jarvis Landry, like I said. Shaheed looks good. He's the field stretcher, so why not try, TD upside again? But, again, you got to have some big kahunas to be starting that, man. I mean, maybe DFS. I don't mind DFS for Shaheed. I think that could earn you some money. Traquan Thornton, high-level risk play because I think Chris Olave is just going to see the bulk load of the touches. And Taysom Hill, mid-level risk. It's hit and miss. What can you say? It's hit and miss every single week unless they get on the goal line. Then Taysom's going to be the TD vulture. But it's like you got to wait 3 weeks before Taysom has another huge contest. So I don't hate it this week. I will fire up a Taysom Hill if I had to because tight ends are just so hard to trust and so hard to gain points from. The New York Giants, let's move to the New York Giants, 6-1. The G-Men. I mean, you guys are just crazy. And, I mean, it's behind Saquon. Like I said, it's easy. It's Saquon. You give the ball to Saquon, you win football games. Defense has played very well in New York as well, so you can't hate on that. And Daniel Jones, I can no longer call him Danny Pennies. It hurts. I like calling him Danny Pennies, but he's been playing good. He's been playing very solid football. I said it last week. Brian Dable has instructed him extremely well. Do not turn the ball over. Take care of the football. Find the open wide receiver that the defense gives you and take off and run when you have the opportunity. There you go. Easy game plan, and Daniel Jones has been doing very well. Low-level risk. First time in his career he hit 100 yards rushing last week. You can trust Daniel Jones this week against Seattle. Yes, the defensive secondary has looked good in Seattle, but Saquon Barkley will keep them honest because he is a stud start. Once again, only 2 running backs in the NFL through 7 weeks have boomed on every single game. Saquon is one, and Breece Hall is the other. Good Lord, Breece, why'd you have to go? I shed a tear when I dropped him in my league. I'm telling y'all, it hurt, man. But Saquon, stud start. Darius Slayton gets a mid-level start risk for me. Wandale, I mean, I love it. Wandale is the low-level risk start. I'm plugging Wandale over Slayton this week. No kidding. In your flex, if you have it, Wandale is a definite good upside play, even though, like I said, man, the secondary in Seattle has been playing well. That Woolen kid, I wanted the Bills to draft Woolen. What did you do, Buffalo? Nevertheless, I digress. Richie James, high-level risk play. TD upside for Chris Myarick. I always butcher that guy's name because Daniel Bellinger, he is out for, 2 to 5 weeks due to that injured eye socket. He had surgery to replace the bone cartilage around his eye. So Chris Myarick is one of these guys that could be a plug-and-play tight end, seeing the upside because Daniel Jones is taking the safe throws. I would not be surprised. I'm putting TD upside for Myrick this week because I do believe he does find the end zone in a sneaky play. But Wandale, Saquon, Daniel Jones, you can absolutely trust this week. The New York Jets taking on the New England Patriots without my guy, Breece. Can we have a moment of silence for Breece, man? He was just balling, like I said. 7 boom games for a rookie running back in this league that is a passing league. Breece, man. Breece! I'm sad. What else can I say? I'm just sad. I'm trying to, catch my breath here. But Zach Wilson going up against these New England Patriots. It's your time, bud. It's your time. The Cougar Killer. You're not killing any Cougars on the field. You suck right now. I'm sorry. You're not looking good. I've been a supporter. I've been promoting you, and you're just not fitting the bill. So you got a high level risk from me this week, bud. I cannot do it. Do not trust you until I see more. Your reads are off. Your throws are off. You just do not look comfortable in the pocket. Now you lost your run game. They got to lean on you now, Zach, to do some damage. But they did trade for James Robinson. They got Michael Carter, so we'll see. James Robinson, high-level risk play for me this week. Just too soon for him to be involved to learn the playbook, so Michael Carter should get the bulk load of the carries and potential PPR upside. Michael Carter is an absolute start this week. No kidding about that. Garrett Wilson and Elijah Moore both get mid-level plays. I'm only doing this because I believe they have to throw more. They have to do it. Without a Breece Hall, and if Carter starts to get stuffed a little bit, because New England's run defense is still decently able to stop the run, if they don't, it's Zach Wilson. I'm struggling. I'm trying. I would not start Garrett Wilson. I would not start Elijah Moore. I would not start Braxton Berrios. But I got mid-level risks on Wilson and Moore because I got to see it, and I want to believe that this is the game, that it's going to happen. They're going to change the scheme up a little bit, going to be a little bit more pass-heavy. Zach Wilson, it's your time, bud. You got to do it. Tyler Conklin, high-level risk because Zach Wilson just doesn't throw to anybody, including his tight end, which is strange to me. It's an easy completion, easy hot read, and you're still not doing it, so I don't know what to tell you guys, man. Philadelphia Eagles taking on those Pittsburgh Steelers, 6-0, coming off the bye. Legit, no kidding. These Philadelphia Eagles, they could go undefeated this year. Have you seen their schedule? It is, a fluff schedule if I have ever seen one. Jalen Hurts, stud start of the week once again. Just a killer, man. The rushing upside, he's throwing good balls now down the field to A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith. You got to love what they're doing in Philadelphia right now. They added Quinn on the defensive line. Like, oh, my Lord. I guess we'll see you in the Super Bowl, Philly. Buffalo Bills Super Bowl and versus the Philadelphia Eagles. I mean, okay, it's a little early, but Miles Sanders, stud start as well. I think he comes off the bye. He's very healthy, very fresh. The trade rumors suggest that the Philadelphia Eagles are coming for in Alvin Kamara. This is going to mean that Miles Sanders is going to have a day. He's going to try to prove the Philadelphia Eagles brain trust. Do not trade for Alvin Kamara. I'm your running back one. Miles Sanders has a day and a half. No kidding, man. A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, low-level risk plays versus these Pittsburgh Steelers. Yes, the Steelers. Last time I did this with Tampa Bay, I was saying I'm giving away everything like I'm Oprah. I won't do that again this week, but the Eagles are too good. And Pittsburgh, yes, defensively, they did look better last week. But again, Jalen Hurts in this offense looks good. They got a lot to contend with. Still no T.J. Watt. It's going to be very tough sled. And Brown and Smith, both low-level risk, as well as, I should say, Dallas Goedert. He is a low-level risk play for me. He's going to, again, get his target share. And I got to say, the Eagles are going to be 7-0 in the Battle of Pennsylvania. Pittsburgh, on the other hand, taking on these Philadelphia Eagles. Kenny Pickett, small hands Pickett. High-level risk play, you're throwing interceptions. But, okay, you know what? Everyone was so down on this man. Throwing that late pick in the close to the end zone there. Don't hate on this man just yet. He's a rook. He's new. He's learning. The one thing I like about him is that he's got poise. He's got poise in that pocket, and he's going to learn. You want him in year one to test it, man. Test these throws where he feels comfortable thinking he can go with the ball. This is the progression part of it. You got to see this happen with a rookie and a young player. He is high-level risk, though. You're not going to start this man this week. Same with Najee Harris. Put him on the bench again. I don't care. He scored a touchdown the other week. I don't care. I'm benching Najee Harris until I see more. They just can't open lanes on the offensive line. Najee looks slow as dirt. I mean, he's got 2 trailers attached to him, too. I don't like it. Low floor for Najee Harris, though, even if you do got to play him. I know you drafted him in the first round, so you're likely starting him. Low floors unless he finds the end zone. It's a very hard thing to trust. Deontay gets a mid-level risk because PPR upside is always there. Claypool, I'm going to put a high-level risk. I don't think he sees a lot of target share because they're shopping his services as well. They want a second-round pick for him. Potentially Green Bay is in the mix is what we're hearing, but Claypool I think is high-level risk. They will not target him, but on the other hand, George Pickens, he's seeing a lot of targets. He's making a lot of plays. This guy is a true alpha wide receiver, and I think he's going to get a lot of targets as well. Kenny Pickett does seem a lot more comfortable with Pickens right now, even over a Deontay Johnson. Pat Freiermuth is the only low-level risk play this week for boom games for this tight end. He is very, very reliable and steady. You can absolutely start Pat Freiermuth versus the Philadelphia Eagles because you could even get some garbage time production that will help your fantasy team. The San Francisco 49ers taking their talents to the Rams, to L.A. This is a big one, man. 3-4 for the 49ers, 3-3 for the Rams. Jimmy Garoppolo, mid-level risk. He did not look good last week versus those Chiefs. It was not good. Maybe he does spread the ball a little bit more. It's going to look maybe a little bit more ugly because they do not have Deebo Samuel. He is out with that hamstring injury. Jennings is also questionable with an injury, but he's likely to play. So who we trust in? Christian McCaffrey. It's Christian McCaffrey and George Kittle week, sprinkled in with a little Brandon Ayuk. I think that's where we're going. So I got low-level risk plays on CMC, Brandon Ayuk, and a stud start for a George Kittle. This is how it's going to have to be. This is you force-feed George Kittle, and you go outside to Brandon Ayuk, and hopefully Christian McCaffrey understands the playbook enough to get you over that point threshold because he lost his perfection season of 7 boom games in a row. He does have 6 right now. But, I mean, again, you get traded and then you're supposed to pick up a playbook in like 2 days? I don't think so. It does not happen that way in the NFL. But you definitely fire up Christian McCaffrey, Brandon Ayuk, George Kittle, potentially Jimmy G. I don't like it. I want to see more. Even though the 49ers seem to own the LA Rams, it is usually owned by Deebo Samuel, so we'll see how they play this week. It's going to be a very interesting contest, but I would look in another direction for Jimmy G. I would look at Geno Smith is what I would be doing. Seattle Seahawks taking on those New York Giants. Geno is a low-level risk play. He is a very good quarterback right now. Good for Geno. Every week I'm going to say this because I'm just, I'm happy for the guy. He struggled so much as a backup. He sucked for so long. Now he's kind of found his mojo, low-level risk play, and he's got some help, man. It is Kenneth Walker III. I told y'all, if you know my previous work on my other channel, the scouting report said it all, man. If you watch film, if you're a film junkie like me, you will understand what I'm talking about when you watched Kenneth Walker's college highlights. The guy is just a machine. He has shown it in, the NFL early already. Stud start for the Seattle Seahawks. Injury risk does go to a DK Metcalf. I don't know how this man has got the potential to play. They said it's a game-time decision. I don't think so, man. They're only doing it for semantics for the Giants to have to scheme up against him. There's no way in heck I see a DK Metcalf play this week. If he does play, I'll eat my words, because then that strained PCL, like, really? This man's made of freaking, steel if he comes out on that field. Tyler Lockett subsequently gets a low-level risk play because target share is going to be on his side. He is an easy start if DK Metcalf is out. Same goes for a Marquise Goodwin. He's got the deep shot appeal. He's still got some wheels, and he's still got some hops. He jumped over that defensive back to score that touchdown. High-level risk play, I want to say almost for a Godwin. But, I mean, again, if you're looking for a high boomer bust, I think Godwin could be that guy. Deep shot level play, especially if DK's out. If DK's in, do not trust a Godwin. If DK's out, they got to throw to somebody, and I think Godwin's going to be the recipient of that. Will Disley gets a high-level risk play because he just hasn't, Geno hasn't targeted the tight end position over the last couple weeks, so it's very difficult to trust Will Disley at this point. Tennessee Titans, they're coming off the win, 4-2, going to the Houston Texans. Ryan Tannehill, man, I'm benching this guy. Keep him on the waiver wire. Do not look at it. I'm still putting a mid-level risk, but I'm not trusting Tannehill this week whatsoever. Houston gave up a boatload of yards on the ground to Josh Jacobs, and now they got Derrick Henry to contend with this week. Get ready, stud star. Derrick Henry's going to have 200 yards in this contest, man. He's going to run free. Derrick Henry's going to, be everything that the Titans require. Tannehill's going to have a very easy day, you got to feel. Hilliard may get sprinkled in with some PPR upside. Not trusting that as well. Robert Woods, Westbrook-Ikhine, Austin Hooper, they are all on my bench this week. Even Robert Woods, Bobby Trees, low floors. You cannot trust it any more than you have. This passing offense just is anemic at best. They're going to run the ball a lot. You might get some sprinkles of a Robert Woods. Even if Bobby Trees finds his way into the end zone, I don't even care because he's going to be sitting on my bench for that touchdown. You just cannot trust it to start it this week. The Washington Commanders, the Commies, taking on the Indianapolis Colts in this game, had everything, for Carson Wentz coming back to Indy to face his former club. Everything's in disarray. Wentz is injured. Matt Ryan is not playing. He's being held out. Tyler Heineke, he does what he does. 15 points, found himself a boom game in his first game back. Mid-level risk for Heineke, gunslinger, man. That's just what he does. It's what he is and how he's going to play football. You're not going to tell this man different. Antonio Gibson and Brian Robinson, they're kind of equally splitting carries. Even though Gibson got a boom game the last time they played as well, you got to trust both of them at this point. I think they're going to have even amount of share, and I think a split backfield for both these gentlemen is a very good play. Robinson will have the appeal of having the goal line upside work, where Antonio Gibson will spell Robinson from time to time, and he's going to get the big chunk yards you require, especially against a Colts defense that is susceptible to giving up some big plays as well. Scary Terry McLaurin, low risk. He's back in the good books because Heineke knows how to find him. Carson Wentz apparently didn't, but Heineke does, and Scary Terry, you can definitely fire him up this week. Surprisingly enough, he's been so quiet. 71 points. That's a quiet 71 points. 5 boom games for Terry. Just doesn't feel like it, man. I had him on my bench last week. Didn't like it. Sucked, but I mean, you got to take, the good with the bad sometimes in fantasy football. But this week, I'm definitely firing up a little Terry McLaurin. I think he finds his way into that end zone again. Curtis Samuel, he's floating down the board. Mid-level risk, he's just not looking good. I think he's going to, again, fade in this offense this week also. Diami Brown is getting back in the, on the field. He's questionable with a groin, but they're saying that he's going to play. John Dotson tweaked that hamstring a couple weeks back again, so he's not playing in this one as well. Logan Thomas gets an injury risk level play, but he is supposed to suit up in this game, so there is potential for him to be a plug-and-play tight end for all you streaming tight ends. But or tight end players, but this should be another interesting contest. Heineke versus Ellinger. Who's going to win? Who the hell knows, man? It is week 8 in the NFL, and it's already bonkers on Halloween. So there you have it. That is week number 8 lineup advice. Hopefully the content is helping you guys out. I'm still undefeated in 2 leagues. I'm doing very well in all 6 of the ones that I do participate in this year. And I hope it's working for you guys. If you want, drop your questions in the comments. I will definitely answer you back. We're in this together. I'm going to help you out. I'm telling y'all, but nevertheless, as always, don't forget to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, jump in those comments. Give me your thoughts, your start-sit questions. Happy Halloween, and we'll see you next time. I am out.